Okay, so we are headed outside to make some garden gold. What do I mean when I say garden gold? Let me show you. Alright, so I started this yesterday. So this is really finely mulched up leaves. And I'll probably go over these a little bit more. I go over them with the lawnmower several times. I just pile them up in my yard. So this past year, I decided to send a message out to my neighborhood. So I live in a development, and there's quite a lot of homes in here. I think over 100. And I asked them in my email if they would drop off their bagged leaves to me if they had no use for them. And they certainly did drop off all their bagged leaves. And there's still some up in the front. So I have my work cut out for me. But this makes fantastic compost. It's called leaf mold, what it ends up being. There's even an argument that leaf mold is better than regular compost because it creates more fungi as it's being broken down, and fungi is really good for your soil. Leaf mold is really rich in nutrients. A couple of different ways that you could use your shredded up leaves would be to use them as mulch, like you would wood chip mulch. You can lay it down really thick in walkways and things like that, and eventually it'll break down. You could use it as mulch around your plants. You can even put it in the bottom of your garden beds. That way you don't have to completely fill up all your garden beds with just soil, because if you've ever bought garden soil, it's expensive. So you could really put a thick layer of that leaves, and eventually it'll break down, and just mix in. One year I mixed in a lot of leaves into my garden soil and let them break down over the winter. Now, why do I shred them up? You don't have to. You can leave them whole and just pile them up. I'll show you where I'm going to keep mine. My husband just built me a new holder for them so that they can sit in there all winter and break down. Why do I shred mine up so much? Because it creates more surface area. And the more surface area you have, the more the microbes will break it down quicker. Now, let me show you one of my piles. So, I had this filled last year. I just started this last year. And at the very bottom is some really rich compost. But I've refilled it up with more leaves that I've shredded. So, this is just wood pallets, and then I've put this black stuff. Ideally, you'd want more aeration. I guess there is some aeration with that black stuff, but I am not going to turn this. You could, take it all out if you wanted to, and then slowly add it back in while you add in some water, and the water and moisture will help break it down, but I'm just going to leave it sit. My new one that my husband built me, because I'm running out of space for compost bins, is right down there. So this is my garden, and we're gonna walk down to that, and I'll show you how he kind of built that, because it's a little different than the one that's up here. Okay, so this, I went and got some fabric cloth mesh wire fabric cloth, and just use it as the front. He just screwed together 4 pallets there for me, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep bringing in a trash can full of leaves and dumping them in here until it's all filled up. And I've got it to where I can kind of open it up now, because the one up there, it's hard to get to the compost at the bottom. But once this all breaks down, all I'll have to do is unhook these doors here and open them, and I'll be able to get to the bottom to get all of the leaf mold. And this is a ideal spot for it because ideally you'd want it to be in a shaded area, and this is fairly shaded when the trees have leaves. So in the summer there won't be as much evaporation of the moisture, because the moisture is what helps the microbes break down the leaves. So it's a little cold today, so we're gonna head back up the hill, and I'm gonna get to mulching some of those bags of leaves. It's probably gonna take me a little while, but I'm very thankful that my neighbors were kind enough to do all the hard work. They cleaned up their leaves and bagged them and then brought them to me. Last year we were on our way somewhere, and I saw a family cleaning up the leaves. They had like 20 bags of leaves just lined up, because there's a certain day trash people will come and pick up your leaves. And I stopped and I just asked, and I explained to them what I was doing. You know, people will kind of look at you funny if you just say, "Can I take your leaves?" But if you say, coming up those steps is hard. But if you say, you know, "I'm making compost and I'd like to have your leaves," people are more than welcome to give you their scraps and stuff. In my email, I even asked for hay bales, and old pumpkins, and corn stalks. You know how people decorate with corn stalks. All that stuff is organic matter and will break down into beautiful compost. Oh my, I have some piles of leaves to get through. All right, I will show you what I accomplish. So right here you can see I'm kind of like bouncing the lawnmower up over the piles just to kind of make it up over them. And I just keep going over and over and over and over the leaves until basically they're pulverized into almost like dirt. I mean, they're very finely shredded. And these will break down beautifully and break down a lot quicker than if you would leave them as whole leaves. This is why I love my lawnmower that has actual mulching blades on it, as well as the bag that grabs up all the leaves. Now you can see I've got a full bag of pulverized leaves. Let me show you what it looks like. And then I go and I fill up that trash can over there. It takes about 3 of these bags, and then we're going to haul it down to the new leaf holder. So something that might seem obvious, but maybe it doesn't to everyone, is that when you first start mowing, you could take the bag off and just mulch up the leaves that way as you go over them. But here's what I do. I just leave the bag on and I mulch over the leaves. Eventually the bag fills up. Once the bag's full, it will just keep mulching the leaves, and it, you know, it won't get any fuller. So once I've mulched up all the leaves to where I want them, I then take off the bag, dump that bag of leaves, and mulch over it again until it's pulverized, and then that's when I start to dump the bag. And then it's back up to the top of the hill again to do it all over again. But it is going to be so well worth it next year when I have beautiful compost to add to my soil, full of nutrients and fungi.